But what does the energy rater do that's important to the homeowner?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the things that they do is they provide a list as it relates to how efficient is this home and what are your savings because of what the builder has done in efficiencies in this home. And so I mentioned earlier, it's between 12 and 13. I've seen $1,500 a year in savings. And those calculations, certainly it's nothing I can pull out of the air. I can think it might save somebody, but until you run it through that calculation in their program, I think from a consumer standpoint, they know that this home is working for them. It isn't costing them. If someone has paid attention to the details, that could cost them if someone wasn't paying attention. Mm-hmm. So I think that that from a consumer standpoint it gives you some trustworthiness, if you would, in the home that you're buying. That's all I had to say about it.
Well, the energy rater really provides a certain amount of confidence that the home is well insulated and well sealed. It's going to be durable and healthy. So by having that extra set of eyes on the construction, the homeowner can be confident that they're really going to receive the kind of product to live in that they want. Yeah. In terms of the calculations, the energy rater does calculations ahead of time that can also document the expected energy savings for the purposes of underwriting a loan. So, for example, energy savings is like earning money, and underwriters that are qualifying a person for the loan want to know that those things are real, because I think a lot of people have the idea that any new home is going to perform the same for energy efficiency, and that's just not true. Some homes really stand out, and so the energy calculations can really document those savings so that an underwriter can be confident that the buyer is really going to have low energy bills and be able to apply those savings to their mortgage payments.
Yep. With any loan that's being done, there's an appraisal that has to happen. Building Energy does a great job of filling out a paper that we can give to the lender to pass on to the appraiser that comes out. I think probably one of the shortfalls in this area is trying to put a value to energy efficiencies in general as it relates to the appraisal prices. What does Energy Star mean? Though it's been around for a long time, oftentimes there's not much value, if any, given to a higher efficiency home than a home that maybe doesn't have some of those items considered during the building process. So that is somewhat of an education that we try to educate as we're working through those and providing that piece of paper saying that these are certified. Here's the standards that they've met. Whether appraiser looks at those and can really bring comps. I understand the concern and the difficulty they have is how do you comp something if there's not many folks doing it. That's a high performance home. And so there are some challenges there.
But what have you learned over the years from moving your process from kind of a conventional construction into a more advanced construction?
Yeah, one of the things we've learned is it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process, and you have to identify what are the areas that we can chip away at. If we were talking about framing, what are we doing different on our framing and how our trusses are pulled in, and we can talk about some of those items. But we knew there was more to that. There was more to how we're sealing and how do we figure out a way to make sure those items are being consistently done and that we can verify that they're being done. And you have to have that steadfastness. We're going to do this. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, and you start to see the dollars, and you think, okay, can we really make this work? And so I don't think it's something that can happen overnight. I think a builder looks at those advantages and say, you know what, these are the 2 things out of the 5 that I know we can do. Let's start with that. And then you work your way through those, and you can just slowly add. And I think you build momentum, feeling like you've had some success. Okay, we can do this. You're training an industry. If this was easy, everyone would be doing it. You find yourselves educating the tradesmen that you have to say, these are the efficiencies we're after, and so I need this seal to go in like this, or don't tear this off the wall before you install certain items. It is just a process. You have to pull your contractors together and your team and say, this is a commitment we're making as an organization or as a building company, And we love your participation through this process, because you're going to have some learning curves, things that didn't work out very well, and probably some things you need to go back and redo because you suddenly realize that this item isn't working the way we thought. And you got to have a team that's dedicated and willing to help you through that process. So,
what kind of tools do you use to kind of ensure that process goes smoothly?
Yeah, some of the tools we use is communication. Let's get everybody together. I think seeing that data as it comes back to once you finish a few of these and you look at your air exchanges. So we use a smoke machine in some of these instances. When you start blowing that into your duct systems, you can very quickly start to see where your leaks are. And even though everybody's intent was, I've got this covered, we're going to be okay, and you put a smoke machine in there and everyone's eyes go, oh my, we missed a few spots. And so that's a vivid tool that you don't have to use very often, but it just is a good illustrator when you pop the crawl space lid and you've got this plume of cloud coming out of your duct systems. You realize, okay, we've missed a few spots along
Do you
the way.
have process tools, checklists and things like that?
We do. For each home, we have a 50-point checklist that happens prior to move-in. Throughout the process, as we go through framing, our verifiers actually help with some of that as they come out and run through their checklists.
Boise is in a cold climate. What kind of features are you planning and designing into the homes to accommodate the cold climate?
We've increased our insulation values. We paid attention to where the air is coming in and going out, so those are sealed to the degree that we can. We've made sure that the windows that are being used are appropriate. Our HVAC systems are a cold climate heat pump, and actually they're also elevated. We mount them on the wall versus putting them lower, so they're 3, in some cases 4 feet off the ground.
But customers today are really kind of looking for green homes. What do you think are the advantages of a green home for the people that you see as your customers?
Sure, we're very cognizant of what we put into the home as it relates to materials being used. I think one of the standards is a low VOC paint, but also the timber that's being used, we're using a pressure treat that's eco-friendly, if you would. I think it's important that we take care of the waste that we provide here on site. We roll that from one house to the other and try to use up as much timber as we have on the next project. You always need little pieces. Green to me also means that you're effectively have controlled the water penetrations in your home, so that'd be through your roof or through your exterior siding, that those are caulked appropriately. Mold is a concern, and you got to really pay attention to that. And that doesn't happen when moisture doesn't enter the home. And so those are key functions, I think, as it relates to building green.
What are some of the other benefits about durability or health or to the customers?
Well, some durability is a pretty big issue for us as it relates to the degree we can help a family buy a home that to make it affordable. I mean, so your affordability happens, I think, in durability, in the sense that this home isn't nickel and diming you. Your home should work for you. And in our budgeting courses, we talk about planning for the future and being a responsible homeowner in these ways. But we can do, from a builder standpoint, we can get them started utilizing some materials that will just have longevity in its value, in its face value. As an example, these countertops are going to last a long time. You can put things on them; they're not going to bubble, and stain or scratch. And we try to provide a product that is highly durable and can meet the needs and challenges of a home and raising a family in a home.
And ventilation is really important for health.
Yes, it's something that's overlooked periodically. And I think that's where the third-party verifier, somebody who has the tools that can find and measure the air exchanges that happen in your home. Boise's in a climate that periodically you'll get smoke, either from local fires or out-of-state fires, and it just settles in our valley. And so there are times that being inside is better than being outside as it relates to that. Well, if your home isn't a healthy home to be in, then that doesn't help your family. And so we feel that this home should be your shelter, should be a place that you can go and feel safe, and it's working for you, not against you. All of our communities are from a 9-unit subdivision all the way up to a 39-unit subdivision. And the way they interact for us is really critical. The privacy, the private patios, the large front entries as they address that common space. But we certainly couldn't do any of that without all of our partnerships. And that, I think, gives us a better building product at the end of the day. Some of those partnerships are Idaho Power, as they've come in and help offset the costs to building higher efficiency homes. Other partners are Jordan at Quality Heating, who's come in to really help drive the installs. You have Greg from Mitsubishi that's come in working with the product as it comes off the assembly line. We even know to some degree what to expect in coming years. And so there's some value to having people at the table that can watch out for the interests and know where you're heading and speak into that. And NeighborWorks is a green rated company through NeighborWorks America. So NeighborWorks America is a congressionally chartered, it's a 40-year-old nonprofit that Congress looks to build affordable housing in our nation. And so we're a charter member through them that brings the resources and to build in areas that need homes built.
It's really critical to engage the trades early on in the design process. And
absolutely.
You've done that with the solar contractor to bring them in early on to make sure that they had the space that they needed and that you could accommodate all the different elements that were needed to make it solar ready. It's also important to do that with the HVAC contractor and with the plumber and the electrician sometimes. So at the beginning of the process, it's good to have a team meeting. We call it a green team meeting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and not always is it all in one setting. To the degree we can, we love doing that. Building Energy actually hosted one of those meetings as it relates to how are we going to build our HVAC units and our building envelope. And that was a great opportunity for a manufacturer to come into the room with a wholesaler, with a contractor, with the builder and our design team to think through how is this going to work inherently from beginning to end. And you have to think forward. You have to get in front of this stuff. It doesn't happen on site, or if it does, you make people upset because they're having to redo things. But if you can get in front of that, and it's not easy to do all the time, if you can get in front of it, you have a better opportunity to try to catch all of those idiosyncrasies that happen in construction. And I can't say we've caught them all, but we've sure tried to catch as many as we can by getting everybody at the table to think through them. And the value that they bring to this is absolutely critical. They do it every day, and they'll catch something. Well, that doesn't quite work because of either a new code that came out or just how the function of the unit won't allow for certain outputs. And so I don't know that without the team coming together to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. These homes are built on slabs, but the slabs are quite high off the grade. Can you explain what's happening?
Bet. So it is slab on grade. However, we're building to a proposed floodplain level. And so our slabs are a foot above the proposed floodplain for this area. And so one of the ways we can accommodate that is obviously take the value of a slab, and moisture is not penetrating, and we've elevated in this case. Given them an opportunity for a front porch where they can get to know their neighbors. So we've tried to create features within that elevation that inherently just provide that open community space. But the foundational reason for that is so that we're above the proposed floodplain, so that families don't have to pay those extreme flood insurance that'll come if their home would have been lower.
Mm-hmm. So what you've done is you've taken a site that is in a floodplain, and yet you've made it more resilient by raising the foundations to make the homes be able to withstand maybe a flood event that could occur in 50 or more years from now.
Yep, indeed.
Okay. These homes are all electric. Can you explain why you made that choice and what the benefits are?
Well, we wanted to do a solar-ready product, and we thought that this would be a great opportunity to provide for that. This land actually had never been built on as far back as we could find when we do our Phase 1 environmentals, and it was positioned in a way that the way that the sun came across that property, it provided ample opportunity for each unit to have that solar space. And so really taking that on, already building a high efficiency home, what else can we do to help the homeowner begin to have maybe further sustainability, in the sense that they're not making not making payments on the energy if solar is an option for that family. So providing options, not everyone takes advantage of those, but some may in the future.